demanded $1,000 from him, or they were going to send this to all of his friends, family. On March 24th, 2022, my son packed his bags and left my house. He was going on vacation with his dad and his family. When I woke up, I saw that he had texted me at 3:41 in the morning, and it said, "Mother, I love you," which wasn't unusual. Jordan would stay up late playing on his PlayStation. I texted him right away at 6 a.m. and he didn't respond. I went on with my day. As I left my children at daycare, I sent him another text that said, "Are you okay?" And I had this overwhelming feeling that I should drive to his dad's house, but I didn't. I drove home and I sent him another text that just said, "Jordan," and he still didn't respond. And Jordan always responded to me because I'm that annoying mom. Right? Like I would keep texting you or calling you until you respond. At this point, I'm panicked and I reach out to his girlfriend at school. "Is Jordan there?" And she said no. And at that point, I knew that something was wrong. I texted Jordan's dad and said, "Is Jordan at home?" And 9 minutes later, he called me. And as soon as I saw the phone call, I knew it. And all he said to me was, "Jordan's gone."
Jen is sharing the story of how scammers took her son from her.
My legs went numb. Nothing seemed real at that moment. Jordan's dad told me, "You need to call your husband to come home." And I was like, "No, I'm not calling him home because this isn't happening." And at that point, we had to disconnect because the paramedics and police were arriving. After I hung up with Jordan's dad, I went through complete shock. Nothing was real to me at that point. I didn't know what to do. I had to call my parents, which was the worst thing in the world because they loved Jordan. Jordan was their whole world. And by 2 p.m. that day, I was planning my son's funeral. Jordan's girlfriend contacted me and she was like, "Hey, where's Jordan's phone? I got this message and this is someone that I think was talking to Jordan the night before." I was like, "Hey, you need to send that to me. Like, we need to let law enforcement know what's going on." So I contacted law enforcement. About 12 hours later, law enforcement came to us and they said, "We think this is a case of extortion."
People wanted to know exactly what happened to Jordan.
I want to try and address a couple of the comments. One was, what is extortion and what happened to Jordan? Extortion is when a picture or a video is shared and someone asks money not to share that with other people. In Jordan's situation, he was being contacted by an alleged girl on social media, just reaching out saying, "Hey, my name is blah, blah, blah. We have some of the same friends in common. Where do you go to school? What do you like to do?" Just normal kid conversation. This went on for hours. Then it came down to, "Send me a picture of yourself. I'll send one of me." And once he shared an image with them, that was it. They demanded $1,000 from him, or they were going to send this to all of his friends, followers, family. He didn't have $1,000. He had $300, and they were like, "Fine, send that." But it wasn't enough. And this kept going, and they made him do things and show him things within a certain time period. There was a deadline for him doing things, or else we're going to do this.
He was repeatedly threatened and given instructions.
They were building collages of his photos and making it look like they were sending it or that they had sent it out to his friends' moms. When Jordan said, I'm going to myself, they said, "Good. Do that now or we're going to make you do it." They made him believe that that was the only choice he had in those moments. He begged them to stop. He asked them, "Why are you doing this to me?" And I can't imagine what that poor kid went through in the last hours of his life. So the reason that I am sharing Jordan's story is that I hope that we can continue talking about this with our children. We need to be sharing this in schools because it's still happening and it's not being talked about enough. I can't save Jordan, but hopefully his story can save another child and another family from going through what we have been going through. And this happened so fast. This was in 6 hours, less than 6 hours. They got to him in the middle of the night where he's alone in the dark and scared.
It only took 6 hours for them to worm their way in.
They were able to get the transcript of the conversations between Jordan and this other individual. Then they came to us and they said, "Hey, do you want to do a press release and use Jordan's name?" And we were like, absolutely, for a couple of reasons. One, we wanted other parents to know about financial extortion. We were sure if we didn't know about it, then other parents may not know about it either. And two, everybody in our family, our friends, our community, they were really perplexed about this happening to Jordan. You know, everybody was wondering why would this kid who had so much of life in front of him, why would he do this? We wanted to give them these answers so that could, you know, help them with their healing and what they needed to do to process Jordan being gone. Law enforcement investigated this case. 13 months later, we are sitting at a press conference with the Department of Justice.
Now Jen wants to help stop this happening to any more kids.
We got information that we had never seen or been told before. 3 men from Nigeria were arrested and indicted on charges, multiple charges. One related to causing my son. They would be waiting extradition here to the United States. Some of the other things that we heard for the first time were their names, the ages, the charges, just a snippet of some of the conversation that took place between Jordan and this individuals. Part of the conversation that was released was where Jordan says, "I'm going to myself right now because of you." The individual responds, "Good. Do that fast or I'll make you do it. I swear to God." That was super difficult to hear in that moment. And I actually spoke after that, so I had to push that out of my mind for the moment while I spoke, and I had to revisit it later and process the things that we knew were said. From day one, for me as a parent, all I wanted to know is, what did they say to Jordan? What was this conversation? What did they say to him? What did they threaten him with that made him so scared? What we also learned is that these individuals, it is alleged that they targeted over 100 people in a short time period, like a year and a half, 2 years. So for these few individuals to target that many people, that's a lot, and it's still happening. And I think it's important that we continue to talk to our children. If it does happen to them, if they don't know who they're speaking to, they shouldn't share any images, but if they do, they need to come to you for help with it. So if you haven't talked to your kids yet, go and talk to them. I'll continue to share Jordan's story.
We are so glad that Jen is raising awareness of this issue that's more common than you think. In the comments, people shared their stories, with one person saying, "This happened to my son. I'm just so thankful he texted me, then came to my room so we could help him. He was shaking, he was so scared." While another said, "This very same thing happened to us. My 17-year-old is gone now because of extortion and my heart is forever broken." As always, thanks for watching Happiest. If you like this video, then be sure to follow our other social pages for more content like this. And if you have any of your own videos you'd like to share, be sure to send them in.